been one of Kentucky Fried Chicken's most successful franchisees before he sold his...
Yes, I did know that. And howdy, folks. I'm Colonel Sanders, and you're not. There is this big misunderstanding about Colonel Sanders and Dave Thomas. And before I go into that, make sure you're following me on YouTube and Instagram before TikTok gets banned. That way you don't miss a thing about the Colonel's legacy straight from his family. So a story that goes around is that Dave Thomas had a falling out with Uncle Harley after Uncle Harley sold Kentucky Fried Chicken in 1964 and Dave sold the franchises back to the corporation. People say that Dave sold them back to Uncle Harley, but that's not the case. Dave sold them back to the corporation, which at the time was Brown and Massey. So Uncle Harley had no ownership. He was just a spokesperson at that time, and he was on the board of directors for Food and Quality Control. Folks think that Dave and Uncle Harley had some issues and were no longer friends, but that's inaccurate. Dave remained close friends with both Uncle Harley and his nephew, my cousin Lee Cummings, continued to have business meetings with them, and was involved in their lives until his death. Now, my side of the family never met Dave Thomas. Now, my Uncle Jim was involved in Kentucky Fried Chicken. He was the only member of the Colonel's brother side of the family that was heavily involved in the brand. He knew Dave. But the rest of my side of the family went on to different careers. Dave was also responsible for designing the spinning bucket and the mugshot of Uncle Harley on the Firebird and whatever else he was driving. Uncle Harley had the 11 herbs and spices in the pressure cooking and the 7-10-7 method. He created his iconic image based on the typical Kentucky Colonel Southern gentleman. Matter of fact, when he first started, it was a darker suit that he wore. And he didn't limit it to that. He also wore a gray suit. It was Pete Harmon that told him he should wear a white suit, cream white to be exact, because it hid the flour stains, saved him on dry cleaning, and made him look more professional in the fast food industry. I wouldn't really call it the fast food industry back then, but just say the food industry. He shaped what fast food would become. Dave was also responsible for the color scheme of Kentucky Fried Chicken. And correct me if I'm wrong, Dave's family can, but I believe he designed the red and white striped. When Uncle Harley started, he just called it Kentucky Fried Chicken. His face was designed on the thing, and they were in other restaurants rather than standalone. It wasn't until later that the standalone locations started to develop, and they would look something like this by the time that the standalone locations would be developed. Dave designed the spinning bucket on top of the sign. Brown and Massey had produced so many locations that by the time that they sold the Huel line in 1971, the business was worth well over $200 million, when Uncle Harley sold it for just $2 million in 1964. Wendy's was started in 1969, which was well after Uncle Harley sold out.